30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning again. This is Jonathan Small, host and producer of All About You. And All About You is one of two different programs that I have the pleasure of hosting and producing live every single week at AccessTV.org studio. All About You is a show that's designed to give you, the viewers, some information, background about a particular guest. And this morning, I have the pleasure of having a historical guest in the hip-hop industry who was part of a tremendous innovation with a major, somewhat of the queen of hip-hop, Sylvia Robinson. The guest this morning on All About You is no other than Cheryl Cook, Cheryl, a.k.a. the Pearl of the Sequence. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jonathan. How are you today? Thank you for inviting me on.
It's my pleasure. It's not very often I get a chance to talk to a person related to the hip-hop industry, which is something that I love tremendously,
Right.
particularly old school.
Right.
Cheryl, you were born and raised in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes. All three of us were. Me, Blondie, and Angie B at the time, Angie Stone. We all came up here in South Carolina, and we're doing talent shows and doing all kind of things together, and end up putting a group together. And we met Miss Robinson here in Columbia, South Carolina, from Sugar Hill Records.
Okay, Cheryl, what was the vibe like growing up in Columbia? I mean, obviously growing up as a kid, did you have a lot of fun? Did you enjoy the atmosphere? What was the whole scene like down there?
Everything was good. I can't complain. We had a great time. When her and the Sugar Hill Gang came to Columbia, South Carolina, we got back. We had to argue to get back there because someone said that they were going to give us backstage passes, and that never happened. So Harold Miles from the Sugar Hill Gang, he happened to be walking in the hallway, and he was the one that stopped and asked why we were still out there, and was like, we're supposed to be getting these tickets to get in, and the guy didn't leave them, and we could beat those guys rapping. And so he was looking at Angie. He was like, I like that little chocolate thing right there. But he was an older man. He was just playing with us.
Mhm.
And he said, okay, let them in. They're going to go in with me. And so he did. He got us in. He got us backstage. And as we walking backstage, we're constantly telling him that we could beat the guys rapping. And so he said, I'm going to take y'all to somebody who can help you. And when he took us upstairs, he introduced us to one of the producers, Kenny Edmond, at that time. I think that's his name. And he said to send us cassettes, send us a tape. And so we said, we can't send nobody no tape. We gotta perform. We could beat them boys rapping. So Miss Robinson was sitting there, and she said, I'll listen to you. And so we went in this little room that she was sitting in, and we started singing songs that we had wrote. We say we sing, we write, we rap, we do all of it. And she said, okay, let me hear y'all sing. So we started singing a couple of the songs, and they didn't quite hit her. And on our way going out, I said, we didn't do Funk You Up. And that time, we 17, 18, 19, we didn't think that, that she would take that song as seriously as she did. But we got back in there and we started singing Funk You Up. And she said, Blondie, come in. And Gwen came in and said, my name is Gwen, but they call me Blondie. I'm better known as the one and only. I'm 5'2", built so fine, 36, 26, 36 down. She said, stop. She said, you come in, Cheryl. And I said, they call me Cheryl, and I'll tell you why. So I got such sexy bedroom eyes. When I pop them out, you look surprised. I got you, and you're hypnotized. And she said, you stop. Angie come in. Angie B is what they say. I got chocolate hips and the Milky Way, and I feel like a millionaire in space, flying on a go-kite with silver lace. Everybody calls me never wrong, cause I'm a freestyle freak with a funky song. She said, stop. She told the guy that was in there to go get the band and bring the band back. So Doug Wimplish played bass, Skip McDonald played guitar, and Keith LeBlanc was on the drums. So they all came in, and background singers, everybody just started coming in the room. And she said, y'all start singing that song again, and y'all see what y'all can come up with, Doug. And so when we started singing, they just started coming in with this groove that, that's on Funk You Up, that was just banging. So everybody started running in the room. And when we did that and did the raps down and everything, I think she kind of put it in her head how she wanted to do it before we got there, because they had been rehearsing when we got there. So when we got out, we asked her, when we stopped, we asked her, could we go on the stage with the Sugar Hill Gang? And she said, yeah. So we went to the stage and started performing with them. And when we came back off the stage, she said, I'm going to make you girls stars. She said, I'm going to sing for y'all next week. Y'all think y'all can come? And we said, yes, ma'am, we coming. But we still had to talk to our parents and get them all to agree to let us come. Now, when you say sequence, we got discovered on Blondie's birthday, which was October the 20th of October the 20th, 1979. Then on my birthday, November the 19th of that year, we were back home and we heard our music on the radio here, WOIC at the time. And then on Angie's birthday, they called for us to pull out to meet up with the Sugar Hill Gang in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And the rest was history. We traveled with them everywhere they went. We opened up for them. And they were huge at the time. So the people were coming out. A lot of sellout shows we did during that time. So I think we worked off of Funk You Up for like 2 years.
Mm. Well, obviously, Cheryl, now, I think the thing I'm a little curious about, because this is like, you say 1979, and hip-hop was really just scratching the surface commercially wise, if I'm saying it correctly. And how did the atmosphere, how did you really hear about hip-hop in Columbia, South Carolina? Because unless the radio stations was playing it on a regular basis, or were you just naturally able to adapt once you figured out and you hooked up with Sylvia Robinson?
When we heard King Tim III, we knew something was different, because that record with that they did that year with the Fatback Band, he did with the Fatback Band, it was kind of big here. Mm-hmm. And then right after that, we heard the Sugar Hill Gang. And when we heard the Sugar Hill Gang, we was like, something is changing with the music. Something is changing. They rapping on this stuff. We gotta write some raps. So writing raps was easy because we were cheerleaders. We were writing for the school, and the writing, the pen and the pad was just a easy thing for us back then. Mm-hmm. And so after we heard the Sugar Hill Gang, we knew something was changing. That's what made us start writing raps. When we got to New York, that's when we heard other rappers, like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, the Funky 4+1, Treacherous 3, and Kumo D, Spoonie G, Busy B, all of those rappers. It was somebody else, the Crash Crew. We heard all of those artists after we got to New York, and we had been there for a while. We still didn't hear them like on the radio or anything like that in New York. We only heard them like if we got in a limousine one night and just cruising New York, and they were showing us around. Sylvia's niece Donna was showing us around, and the lady put the cassette in, and we were able to hear the other rappers, and we like, who are they? And she was telling us who they were. They were rappers from New York, and we was like, I was like, yo, they bad. We like them, or whatever. And shortly after that, Miss Robertson made me the head of her A&R department. So I'm the first female A&R person in the history of hip hop as well. When she called me to her house to listen to them, she asked me, what should she do with these groups? And I was telling her I would sign all of them because they're the only ones right now really doing what we're doing. And it'll make a big impact on the world if everything came up out of her company. And so I had to leave to go back on the road with the Sugar Hill Gang, the sequence. And when I came back, she had signed the groups to the label and just introduced us to the groups and to everybody. I met Flash them at her house. I met most of them at her house, and then I started seeing them come in the studio more often. And we're all like sisters and brothers. The spirit of Sugar Hill will never die in any of us, good, bad, or indifference. It was an era and a time that was unbelievable. That's all I can say. It was just unbelievable because now you got all of these kids, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, and we're all competing with each other because we ain't got nobody else to compete with. Mm-hmm. So everybody was coming up with hits. So the company was hitting, because they were doing 12-inch singles back then. So you got Rappers Delight, you got Funk You Up, you come back with Eighth Wonder, and then Freedom with the Furious Five, and the Crash Crew rocking on the radio, the Funky Four coming with their stuff. Everybody was coming with their best stuff. So it made every single that went out that company basically like hit records. Now, the reason ours, I think, moved more because we were from the South. We were country girls. And so from Washington, D.C. on back, we would kill the stage, and the difference between the Sugar Hill Gang and the Sequence and the rest of the groups were that we had a band and they had a DJ. So in the beginning, they would get booed a lot because the DJ, the record would drop, the record would stretch. So the crowd would start booing them. So it took Flash a minute to figure out how they could perform without that record stretching. And I give that to him because he did discover a way for them to be as energetic as they was and still be able to perform and get it across without people booing them.
Mm. Well, Cheryl, obviously, when you collaborated with Sylvia Robertson as the producer, I believe she was the producer of your album or your songs, and I think you did a lot of the writing material. You can hear the New York hardcore beat, and then you can hear a little bit of the Southern hip-hop style blended together. And I think that was kind of unique back then. As you mentioned, really the only hip-hop artist from the South. New York dominated the whole hip-hop era at that particular time. So it was not anybody else out there other than New York rappers, with the exception of yourself and maybe some other people that I may not be aware of, that could really say that they was on wax making hip-hop records. But but was everything collaborating with Sylvia Robertson to your liking? Did y'all have any frictions, or was everything kind of smooth? What was the whole atmosphere as she was producing your album and y'all was working together with the writing material?
It was wonderful. She's the sweetest person that anybody, if you ever been around her, got the opportunity to sit and talk with her and be around her as much as I have, She was just a sweetheart. She would try to do everything and anything that she could do to help the artists. But as you know, the contracts were bad, so the deal with the contracts were bad. But she kept us working. She kept us moving. She kept us into a lot of things back then. And what people do need to know is we were doing sellout shows when she put the Sugar Hill tour together, and there was no friction, there was no fighting, there was no, and she didn't allow cursing and stuff like that on her music.
Mm-hmm.
So she also made sure that we stayed in the proper lane, that our records and our music could be respected for the long term. So she would not put anything in there that she thought would stop radio from playing the music. Us being funky, we come up with Parliament Funkadelic, James Brown, Rick James, the Ohio Players. We come from a funky situation, I put it like that. That's what we grew up on. And that's the type of music that we kind of stuck to with after Funk You Up, we did Teddy Roofoff, Parliament Funkadelic, Teddy Roofoff, and that hit for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew the difference in the groups because all of us had different styles. The only thing with New York is they had 4 or 5 people in their groups, but they knew how to make that work for them.
Right, right.
They knew how to make that work for them, and that's the spirit of New York. That's the spirit of hip hop, and what we put on those records is the spirit of Sugar Hill.
Now, Cheryl, did you only stay in New York while you was making the albums and records with Sylvia, or did you go back and forth from South Carolina to New York, or did you just return back to South Carolina during that time?
We went back and forth. We came back and forth home for a little while. Then she found us an apartment, and we had the apartment. So when we came off the road, we would have our own place to go in because we at one point we were staying in her house. She fixed food. She loved cooking and just a perfect atmosphere. I just can't, the words can't describe this lady for me because she was more than a mother figure to me. She was more than a mentor, and she allowed me to do many things. I'm also the first female producer behind her. I produced with her son, Joey Robinson, during that time, and we did a song called Let's Dance. Let's dance. No, you got to be, but let's dance. Come on and get down. So she allowed me to work with Joey and do other things with, and then she would call me like for Eighth Wonder and Apache, and I told Angie, come on, because it could be something there that we can do to help this song. And I end up writing the majority of the raps for Master G and Eighth Wonder. So I'm the first female to write for a male artist as well. So, and again, Funk You Up was an original rap record. It's the only original rap record probably for that time period.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cheryl, actually, as I sent you that link of one of your songs called The Sequence Party, and I believe that song came out in 1983. As I mentioned, if you listen real closely, I'm hearing some beats that sound like 5 Minutes of Funk by Houdini, who came out in 84. I'm wondering, did they sample a little bit? I don't know if you could pick it up, but there's some slight similarities in some of the beats from their track to your track.
Well, when people were taking little bits and pieces or whatever, it's like you feel good about it. You know that other people are touching your music. Like Dr. Dre has touched our music. Trina has touched our music. Erykah Badu has touched our music. De La Soul has touched our music. The guy that did Uptown Funk You Up, that come from some of our music as well. So it's an honor really when these artists take your music and do their thing with it, and you like, oh, I like that. That's nice,
Right.
But we did different styles of music, and like you said, you heard. I think that was on the third album that we did a Sequence Party on.
Man, that's my
Yeah.
favorite track. I mean, I couldn't stop playing that particular song. Maybe I didn't listen to all of your songs at one time, but that song just
Right.
kept ringing a bell. I got to keep playing this and send some links out to that
I'm
one.
glad you like
I
it.
definitely
I'm
love
glad you
that
like
one.
it.
And,
Yeah.
and you know, the thing about it, as I mentioned, in 83, 84, when I was really getting into hip hop, there used to be a female band that I heard on the radio station, and it had to be your group. I just can't
Right.
remember them mentioning the name because I can't think of any other female groups that
Females.
was really getting active airplay between that
Right.
83 and 84. Roxanne Shante
Right.
came out later on in 84 with the song what UTFO, Roxanne
Roxanne.
Revenge, yes. But
Mm-hmm.
there was a group playing music on the radio here in Connecticut in 83, 84. So it just had to be your group, unless there's somebody. But I mean, that's a long, long time ago.
Yeah. They
But
stayed playing our music. They loved us. The world loved us.
yeah, yeah.
And so they played our music. Everybody played different songs. Or they'd say, sure, this was my favorite song. And Rodney C. He'll call me now and they, sure, sure, sure.
Mm,
My girl, tell me, can you feel it? That was his favorite song.
right.
So I think we all had one of those favorites back during that time. I love it. I love Curtis Blow when he came out. Uh, he he came out shortly after us. That year in '79, it was King Tim the Third, Sugar Hill Gang, Sequence, and Curtis Blow.
Mm.
Those were the four records that I feel that's the brick that's holding up everything
And the
because
se-
everything was so solid then.
right, and the Sequence was the first hip hop group to go gold, selling
Yes,
500,000 copies,
yes,
and
in
that
3 weeks.
3 weeks on top of that and everything.
It's in the Guinness Book of Records.
Right, right. Cheryl,
Yeah.
are the personalities between Blondie, Angie B, and yourself similar? Do y'all have different
Yeah.
personalities? I mean, what's the whole characteristics of the all
We're
three of you?
basically about the same. We think alike. We act alike. We are givers, um, and pleasant to people. Blondie can be kind of laid back a little bit. She's gonna watch you before she really starts communicating with you. She'll sit back and watch people or whatever.
Hmm.
Angie and I have always been go getters. We're gonna do what we do, and that's with the music and life. Period.
Yes.
I came out because of my grandparents when they got sick. I came out of the game to take care of my grandparents, and my sisters had 5 kids. So my grandfather said, make sure the kids come up and teach them what I taught you, and da 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 da. So I've been here in Columbia, back and forth for about half of the time, maybe about 30 years, back and forth here, making sure that my family is okay. My mother is sick right now, so I take care of my mother, me and my sister, my family,
Hmm.
and I'm doing a little music on the side, you know.
Yes. Do you think the next
Yeah.
generation that came shortly after the Sequence, like, well, I mentioned Roxanne or Shantae, but particularly Salt and Pepper, because they were very popular as a female group. They could dance, they had good looks,
Yes,
and they had a character.
yes.
Do you think that y'all should get the credit for paving the way, making it somewhat easier for other female hip hop artists to break into the industry?
Well, when we see those young ladies, like we ran into MC Light, and she said, "Listen, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for you guys." She said, "When I heard Blondie rap, I knew I could rap."
Hmm.
So when we run into Yo-Yo or Salt and Pepper, they give us the utmost respect. It's the industry that's playing the game with who is the best or who sold the most or who did this or who did that. But
Hmm.
there wouldn't be any females out there standing if we didn't stand in our position correctly.
Right. And then on top of that, giving Sylvia Robinson a lot of credit too for breaking down the
Yes,
barriers and opening up some doors of opportunities with Sugar Hill Records, because that played a big
yes,
role in the whole hip hop movement getting started as well, if people
yes.
remember. Do you like the generation of this style of hip hop? I mean, do you see any similarities to your style when you grew up in, or do you see this as a different type of hip hop era that we're in today, comparable to the past?
I think this era is a very dangerous era when kids are getting killed.
Mm.
They're young. They talking about thug life. They talking about drugs, and they finally look like they might have got away from the bitches and whores and all of that. Calling women, black women, or women in general, bitches and whores. I really didn't like that about the game, because you don't have to do all of that. I think I pray for this era. I really pray for the ones that are out there. The young guy that got killed last week, and that rappers are constantly getting killed. And I don't think that they should use rap music or hip hop music to vent themselves and cause that type of reaction to come back at them, to take their lives. You know, so I pray for the next generation of rappers to come through and to speak positive stuff into, put positive messages into the atmosphere, because back then it was just by having fun. So people like see hip hop, your mama, your grandmama, your aunts and uncles, everybody could dance to your music and they could listen to it. Now you can't understand some of the stuff that they're saying, and but they understand it. And I just wish, like, I prayed that when Tupac and Biggie got killed, that would put a stop to that, but it didn't. And I just pray that, if you're gonna get on the microphone, you're gonna speak your piece. Don't invite the drummer to come back at you.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cheryl, you say you're working on some other projects. I mean, are you working on a hip hop song or hip hop album, or just hip hop in general? What's your whole vibe towards right now, currently in the hip hop game?
Right now, it's going to be a mixture of Southern Soul. I've been asked by Captain Jack and the big dude here in South Carolina to do some work with them. So and I have my producer LA that we have been working on some R&B stuff and some hip hop stuff, and me and Blondie gonna be working on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it comes.
Now, what is Angie B up to? I mean, she seems to really got a lot of popularity too in the entertainment industry. Do you still see her, or you have any interactions with her time to time?
Yeah, we just did something last Friday here in South Carolina. It was like a talk show where they invited all three of us to come out and speak, and we did that. And then she had to go back home. Her and Blondie lives in Atlanta, and I'm in Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see them as often as I would like to, but they come through, check on my mom's, and we laugh and joke or whatever. But when they got to go back, because Angie's daughter is here too, and Blondie's family is here. So when they come through, they make their rounds and then they go back. And sometimes I go down there for a week or so and come back myself. But since my mom has been sick, I just been close to home.
Mm-hmm. How's the hip hop vibe in Columbia, South Carolina? Because everybody throughout the country hears Atlanta in particular. We hear New Orleans, we hear Miami, but we don't hear Columbia too often.
There's plenty of talent here in the state of South Carolina.
It is, okay.
It is plenty of talent here. And once I start making my move to put new music back out there up under my label, Black Bottom Entertainment, I'm going to be auditioning different talents in the South Carolina area.
Mm-hmm. And then your writing skills. I mean, again, you were known for doing a lot of the writing with the sequence. Right. Do you still enjoy doing writing?
I still write. I try to tell people, I said, and I heard some other MCs from my time spit some lyrics, and I was like, oh my God, they're bad. They didn't stop writing. And that's the same with me. I never stop writing. I'm a well. It just runs like that. If I hear music and I hear something I like, it just come off the dome, you know?
Uh-huh. Any
So even though I've been out of the game, I never stopped record. I never stopped recording, and I never stopped writing.
mhm. Any chance of the sequence doing any future projects like an album or just working together on a big stage level?
We have been talking about it. We just haven't made the move toward it yet.
Mhm.
Also working um, on our, I guess, documentary. Working on some different things that Angie has come up with for us, and hopefully we will get to do it one more.
Yeah. Well, I just
One more.
right.
Yeah, and they get to see why she's Angie Stone. If they go back and listen to Love Changes and Where Are You Tonight, she's always been there. I've always pushed her because I felt like she had the stronger chance to make it happen for herself, and she did. She's a hell of a songwriter. She know good music when she hears it, and she put 110% into whatever it is that she's doing. I'm very proud of her. I'm very proud of Blondie. Blondie does road management with her, help her with her business and stuff like that. And Blondie has her booking agency, which she has artists that she keep working as well. So we all still in this music business game, but in different ways. And when we need to come together, we come together. We are sisters, and we will always be sisters.
Yeah, and I think it would be good if the sequence could get some type of documentary because there's been films of Roxanne, Shantae, Salt and Pepper. Again, they came along in a little bit of a different era when the commercialization was kind of getting more airplay and more media
Right.
attention. I think it might be a little bit bad timing, and I don't mean this in a negative way, that y'all came along maybe just a little bit earlier before the
Yeah.
commercialization of hip hop and the TV exposure
No matter where we
was out there.
came, we're first.
We're first, yeah. See, nobody can take that away from you being the first
Yeah.
and being the
They can
historical.
say whatever they want to. You are not going to remove that mark.
Uh,
We are the first female rap group to sell 500,000 units in 3 weeks, and nothing tops it.
Tops that, yeah. And then I still
They can
think
sell millions. They can sell millions. It's all good. But them 500,000 kept the doors open for the females.
exactly, and I think on a
Yeah.
natural level, talent. If people really listen to your material, you really stand out on a natural. I mean, just the beats and the rhyming that y'all are put together, and then the collaboration with Sylvia Robinson really all blended together towards a dynamite package. And then I thought,
She knew, yeah, she knew talent when she saw it. What I liked about Miss Robinson, and she always said, "Cheryl, you see how I took 5 minutes to listen to you guys?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "When somebody come to you and say they got something they want you to listen to, take 5 minutes and listen to them." She was a teacher. She was teaching me along the way. You
yes,
know,
yes,
that became my college. I was going to Benedict College here, but once we got discovered, I told my parents, I want to go do the music. I want to do the music. I can always go back to school. But Sugar Hill became a school for me, and I learned from everybody that was around there, from the musicians that was there to the promotion team that was pushing the music and getting the records on radio, and to the DJs and stuff. I watched them do all of that, and I was amazed. And then I would go back in my office and listen to music and see if anything good was coming in to say, okay, this came in today or whatever. But they kept us busy. I kept busy.
yeah,
Sleeping wasn't I wasn't a sleeper at that time.
exactly, exactly,
When everybody else was sleeping, I'd be in the studio
right.
learning.
And,
Yeah.
and
My grandmother said, you learn what you can, because you can take that with you anywhere you go, Cheryl. She says, so since you're not going to go back to college, you better learn what you can right there. And that's what I did.
exactly. And I think
Yeah.
hopefully this documentary or this biofilm about Sylvia Robinson, I mean, I don't know, again, I think we talked off the air that they're still working on that, but hopefully that'll
Right.
go forward at some point because again, when you say hip hop, you can't really leave her out of the historical level of the hip hop
You
game.
can't.
Mm-mm. It's a
You can.
Yeah.
A lot of them will say, well, hip hop got messed up because it got commercial and this, that, and the other. But look how many billionaires and millionaires the hip hop done made.
Right.
You understand? Look at all of the Jay-Z's, the P. Diddy's, and of course, I don't like what's going on out there right now with them trying to, I don't know, knock them off, knock them out, or they're doing stupid stuff. But when people do stupid stuff, I just don't like it that they point the fingers at hip hop, because hip hop got nothing to do with an individual decision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad that they get the opportunity to do way more than what we could do at the time, and you do something stupid to hurt everything.
Mm-hmm.
I used to look up to P. Diddy. I admired him, and I admired Jay-Z, and I admired a lot of them out there. Missy Elliott, I love her to death. There's different ones out there that just touch my heart. Tupac and Biggie. I cried when those kids got killed.
Right.
That thing hurt me because it wasn't made for that.
Well,
It wasn't made for that. It wasn't made to hurt anybody. It was made for people to be able to make a living. We had another option that we could do. And by us Black people being so creative when it comes down to hip hop, that we had no idea. They said it would be over with in 5 years. Here's this 50 years later, and it's still the biggest thing out there.
mm-hmm.
So I don't think none of us did that for it to come out the way it's coming out right now.
Well, one thing you mentioned earlier, Cheryl, that hip hop shouldn't be getting the blame for some of the negative elements that exist in our society. I mean, if you got gang banging, you got the drug game, you got beefing. I mean, that's a big picture of our societal issues. Now, hip hop artists could be human just like anybody else, and you can get caught up in a lot of negative things. And it's real sad to hear many of the upcoming hip hop artists or the hip hop artists that's not really mainstream being shot and being killed. But again, I think that's still a reflection of our everyday society of who's getting killed on our street corners just like this and just like that. And, whether you're a hip hop artist or you're an average Joe, it's still another life being lost. So Biggie and Tupac got gunned down, but you got thousands of other young Biggies and Tupac, just regular people being gunned down at times in our society. So the blame on hip hop shouldn't be criticized for hip hop causing gun violence and beefing and all of this type of stuff that's going on.
Right. I just wish it would stop. There's so many young people out there that would rather pick up the gun and shoot somebody. When I was coming up, you got in a fight with somebody. The next day you were talking, but you was alive. Nobody thought about killing nobody. Now they're pulling out guns, and innocent people, innocent children in their house sleep. Bullets going through these people's houses and killing people. And that's not what we as Black people should be about. We should be about protecting our people, not killing them.
Right. And then again,
it's enough coming at us. It's enough coming at this world right now that you won't need them guns for something, but killing our people, that's a no-no.
So again,
that's a no-no.
Yeah. So
you
Cheryl,
can talk about it.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like you have a real social conscientiousness about yourself, and
I do.
I
love my people.
Right.
I love my people. I don't want nobody to get it twisted. I love my Black people.
Yeah.
But I just don't like to see us killing each other.
Well, again, I don't
not giving yourself a chance.
Right. Well, again, I don't know if you were around the collaboration when Sylvia Robinson produced "The Message" by Grandmaster Flash, because that was really the first hip hop song to deal with some of the issues that we're talking about, and I think she needs to get a lot of credit for that. Because that was real new, that was real unique, showing the living conditions in the South Bronx.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm
trying not to lose my head.
Right.
See, she loved lyrics. She loved the lyrics that came from that. And Fletcher, God bless his soul, he has passed on. And Melly Mel did that track. And when I heard it, I said, that's a hit. She said, you think so, Cheryl? I said, I know so. And when that thing went out, it just took over the world during that time. It took over everything. Everybody was singing it.
Right. And could
No, I'm happy that I get to hear it before everybody. you know,
well,
I got
yes.
I was there. I got a chance to hear it before the world did, and I predicted. I said it's a hit,
Yeah,
and when she
and
went with it, that's what it was.
right, and I stand corrected. That came out in 1982, not 1981. I think it might have got recorded it earlier, maybe 1981. There was some type of New York sanitation strike or some type of strike that they had
Right,
going on, and that was also added on to the record as well. So it might have been recorded it or in 81 or 80, but it wasn't
true.
officially released until 1982. And I think the thing
Right,
about that is I can relate everybody. If you're in LA, if you're in the inner cities of Miami, you're in the inner cities of Atlanta, Columbia, we could all relate to what they was talking about in the message
yes,
in the South Bronx,
yes,
because it was just a relative
yes,
consciousness movement that a whole country was experiencing and
yes.
and
They
everything.
they they did that.
Right.
Mel and them did that. Mel is the best. To know them and to be brothers and travel with them. And they used to watch over our group. They wouldn't let nobody get too close to us. We would be like me, Blondie, Angie, and Rock are the four females that was on the bus. And it had to be at least 30 or 40 guys from all the different groups, the band and everybody, but they will make sure that we were on that bus, that we were all right. If you were talking to somebody that said, get on the bus, and we're like, you ain't our daddy, you can't tell us what to do.
Hmm.
But they were overseers, I put it like that. They made sure that we were right and nothing happened to us.
And Cheryl, I'm glad you mentioned Shy Rock because she gets credited as being the first female solo hip artist. The Sequence gets
Yes,
credited as being the first trio hip hop artist. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay, to do
We're
that.
the first on wax.
On Wax, of course.
First three females on wax, and Sha Rock was with the Funky Four. So she had an individual. So they see her as the first female uh, to do it because she was out of the Bronx. She did it in the park, then she did it on music, and she's a great person also. Everybody personalities are sweet, nice, and she's continuing to keep it going in New York.
Mm. And
They
then,
had Rock Day. I haven't gotten a chance to go to her Rock Day, but she had Rock Day in New York and Katona Park, or I think that's Katona Park, where they all meet up at. And she bring different females there to be with her during that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, as we're getting
Yeah.
closer to the end of this program, I mean, you kind of mentioned some of the future projects that you're currently working on. Is there anything else about yourself, about the industry, about the Sequence that you would like for people to know as we are wrapping up this particular segment?
I would like for all the artists to start putting some money in the DJ's hands.
Hmm.
These DJs play our music. They broke all of our records. When you see a DJ, hit him off. It's all right. They play your music. They don't get paid what we get paid, and they don't get paid. What the artist is or the company's getting paid. Somebody should make sure that they're all right. Like DJ Hollywood out of New York. DJ Hollywood was doing his thing when we got there. Come to Disco Fever, you couldn't. Every way DJ Hollywood was, there were a crowd. It was always a crowd. Him and Eddie Cheever and B Fest and these guys that actually broke the mold for DJs. They should be making the money that some of these other big DJs now are making. They should have a fund or something that will take care of them because they the ones that set it up, flashing all of them for the DJs. Cool
Hmm.
Herc and all of them, they should be taken care of.
Right, right. Well, maybe that's
Yeah,
another goal you might want to follow and push that particular movement of
I,
taking care
I
of it.
I think I am. I think
Uh-huh.
once I make a make a return, my thing is going to be to take care of the ones that took care of you. the ones that open the doors for you, the ones that you can stand out there and do your thing now, and it's no problem because they did it first. They carried those records. They didn't carry CDs,
Yeah.
or just the way that they doing it now. You had to take all of those records and put them in there, and they would know where every record is that they had in there that they needed to put out to play. So we have to put some respect back on it for the DJs.
Okay. Well, I can't think of a better way to end this particular segment, Cheryl. And again, it was an honor to have you on All About You.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And
It's all about you.
all about me. Well, okay. Well, you're the guest, and like that, and your personality really stands out. How you came across this morning on the All About You show. So I definitely look forward to watching this program again and letting people know more about it. And definitely keep up the good work with what you're doing as well.
You send it to me and I'll share it.
Okay, well, the link was actually already sent to you, but if you have any trouble viewing it, I can always resend you the link as well. But definitely take care of yourself, and the best of luck.
All right, you have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you.
All of you guys, all your workers, everybody around you that put this together, thank you so much for having me.
All right, it's our pleasure.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And definitely give special thanks to Stan McCauley for putting this operation together, along with Naisha McCauley, owners of AccessTV.org network. Rarely say that. I'm glad she definitely woke me up. You got to give thanks. But as I mentioned, I had really enjoyed this particular program this morning, hosting All About You with the historical member of the sequence, Cheryl Cook, Cheryl Aka the Pearl. And definitely look forward to doing other shows. Really got a locked up show next week I'm looking forward to producing and hosting. I feel real confident to say. And definitely will see you again if it's God's willing. And the people out there, have a very blessed day and keep the faith. Thank you.